Alrighty here. Just about to start up. Got two games. I know one is from a rookie, the other one is from Rel 3B, which I am recapping. Gunnar asked me to take a look at his game for him. Got our pen tool, got all our fun little gadgets. Should be popping up here soon. There we go. My OBS does not like to switch into Blood Bowl. Let's see here. We got some Wood Elves versus some Lizardmen. Got a Wizard. No bench for either side. And just at a glance, this game you definitely want to get rid of the Movement 9 Stunty Agi 4-piece. Very dangerous. Also very dangerous. But we don't have any Mighty Blow as the Wood Elves. Yeah, we do have Tackle, though. See what you can do in this game. All 6 Sorcerer here. Do we have anything else? Double Babe. Double Babe is good. So really want to try to force those early scores. Want to take a Wizard when we can yoink the ball. And you almost can just consider going for the shootout rather than the removing a skink play because you don't have any Mighty Blow. That being said, you always take the tackle hit on the skinks because I just don't think you're going to get the Sauruses down. I like the little bit of a wide setup. If you can force the Lizardmen to not assist each other, you're in a good spot. Ooh, my thing that gets rid of the bar is disabled. I had to fix that after the stream. I had to re-verify my files, and it deactivated all my mods I had installed. I just forgot to click that one on. Okay. That's unfortunate. I do think the sidestepper maybe could have been swapped with a rookie, but it just gets injured easier, so it's who's to say. Who's to say? That is just unfortunate on the first hit. And it's MNG, you really don't want to use the Apo. Turn 1. And Russell is good. And honestly, everything's going good. How's it going with you, Incest said? But honestly, right here, your Wood Elves, there's a 4-man fireball right here. I would consider just throwing it. But I am a very aggressive Wizard user, and I just kind of feel like if you don't use your Wizard when you got the opportunity to steal the ball, like, what do you got the Wizard for, you know? Now, it does mean that the Lizards don't respect it, but they're already not respecting it. But, like, what can we get down and get a good chance to hit the ball? If you get down this guard piece, you can leap in here and take a hit. If you get down both of these, like, side pieces, you might be able to come in through here. Attrition Fireball. No. But there are the 2 Super Skinks right here, right? But it's at least worth considering, you know? But, like, as Wood Elves, like, especially with an Agility 5, you got your Leapers. I would have considered throwing the Fireball, going after it. Does it let me get the ball? That's really the question that I would require to be answered. Okay, but like right here, this is like... You throw a fireball at this, right? Like, this is another 4-man fireball. Like, you throw the fireball at this, right? You consider the first one, because there was a dude right here, and that can make it awkward to get to the ball. I agree with that. But, like... This is a little more egregious. Get the IG5 right here. Because, like, the thing with the fireball is, if you knock down the ball, you can use your blitz to get something away from the ball. Try and run up here. That's unfortunate. Leap 2D was also a good idea, and just 1 and 9'd it. Yeah, and the Crocs was marked and the Saurus was marked, so that was like a good leap play. It's just, it failed. And at this point, you just want to force the score. You want to bring your players down. Now the fireball's kind of out of the question now. You're just force the score, go for a little bit of a shootout. Use your movement 9, agi 5, catcher to get some fast scores if you need to. But you just do a slow drive and try to force the score. Okay. Unfortunate need to reroll because of the 1 and 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Technically in range there. The best type of in range. But this doesn't seem to be forcing the score very much. Yeah, I don't think this is a lot of pressure. It's a little bit more. This is a little bit of pressure. And then maybe this is coming right here to guard the War Dancer. I do think we should also be forcing more hits on the skinks. War Dancer was in range to hit this one, because less skinks is less options for where the ball can go. So if you only have 2 skinks, you know more where the ball is going to go. But these are loner skinks, so they don't really matter. Nobody's going to give the ball to a loner skink unless they're desperate. And the super skinks have been guarded the whole time. Now at this point we're not really going to play for the ball, I don't think. Hit a skink, good. Fantastic. But I'm not sure how do we force the score? Like knock the Crocs down, try to base. Seems pretty eh. And then like what if we don't knock the Crocs down? That'd be really awkward. Okay, dodge off the loners. You didn't miss much. You missed like a coach decision of 1 in 9 leap or go for a fireball. And then the rest has just been the lizards walked past. And went for a score on turn 5. I don't know why. I don't feel like that score was forced. Like I'm more confused by that than anything else. Cause like so far, like the leap play was fine. You know, it was gonna be a 2-die leap, try to get the ball down, and then like the dice just didn't. The dice didn't cooperate on like an easy play. You know. Yeah. Score on turn 5 without forcing a wizard. Well, yeah, but Pup Justice, even if they tried to do that, there were lizards within range of the entire play of that, and the Wood Elves only have 1 reroll, so even if they manage that and use the wizard, like, I think you're fine. It's like, I want to go back and look at that real quick. Maybe there's more to this than, like, I recognized. But, like, right here, his tackle is in range of all up here. Like, if we bolt this, like, it's still hard to get to the ball. It's usually in a tackle zone. You can only leap to it. And then you had to pass it over a skink. Yeah, I'm not... I don't think this was forced at all. I think you can just keep hitting Wood Elves. Skip the setups a little bit. I do think you should be careful when you're on offense, if you are against like Lizardmen especially. Be careful of putting too many players on the LOS, even on the sidelines, just because Perfect D can fuck you up. But that's also like one outcome, and you just gotta acknowledge that that's a risk if you're setting up like this. I think I'd almost rather hit with the Russel and see if I can't get a cheeky hit with the tackle on one of the Super Skinks. But that does expose you to a follow-up tackle hit. The Mighty Blizzard on this side, you might have been able to get to this one. And probably just keep the ball back for a turn. Yeah, I like that. Bring it central, yeah. Okay, Mighty Blow comes in on the guard. Okay, give you a 2+. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the best at giving advice against lizards. I despise playing against them. They make me sad. And especially without any kill skill, no DP, no Mighty Blow, I think it's really difficult. I like this. I like this hit. Didn't pan out, but I liked it anyways. You taking the loner hit? You're rolling the dodge to get a scoring threat. Okay. Keep the ball safe. Okay. Unfortunate. Just trying to get scoring threats and try to defend them a little bit. And then at this point, you just score if you have an opportunity. That's gonna get blessed, okay. That is still in scoring range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You can still score with this. It's probably a... Now you can't really score with it the same way. And no reroll makes this awkward. Yep, just failed the 2+. Nothing in scoring range now. It's a little unfortunate. So you get smacked. And just getting a little bounced around, failing your 2+. Not much to do about that. And this is just some bonks. And then I wonder, is Gunner going for the win, or was this an attempt for the draw at this point? Because there is still the Movement 9 Agility 4 Stunty piece, which is insane. And we still have a wizard. Okay. I like knocking this down. We're going for the score here. And especially if you're trying to defend this piece, you now have to knock this piece down. Okay. Hitting it with tackle, good. And it's also niggled, so it's actually a really good piece to go after. It's basically the same as hitting the stunties. Well, you know, a little bit difference of AV, but like it's mostly the same. I don't like the reroll. It also failed, so that's just unfortunate as well. But I don't think the pickup really gives you much movement here. And you can still go for the score attempt next turn with a pickup, run 7 squares, throw a 2+ pass, and then hand off and run it in. You could also argue that a catcher could have been the one picking it up, so that you had the word answer available for other things. But I think that's kind of like you were wanting the catch on the catcher. I'm pretty sure. I think Gunner's only running 2 catchers, right? Yeah, I think it's only 2 catchers for Gunner. No, that third one's cats. That's what it is. That's what it is. Okay, abandoning the quick score. Okay, if you are abandoning the quick score, I'd rather you not mark yourself the mighty blow. And I believe we are in range of getting blitzed, aren't we? Yeah, this is just like a naked 2D blitz that's just available. It's a bit of a misstep. And I think we could have still gone for the score, I think. Because, let's see. Just have the pen tool. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Catcher was like right here. Could maybe a 3+ pass. Yeah, it's probably a 3+ pass with an interception attempt. So maybe not. Banding it was probably right. This is naked hit on the ball. Gets the POW. Skink just kind of picks it up. And I think for this, it was just like a simple mistake. Player just needed to be like down and to the right one to block that diagonal path for the Saurus. And then there's no 2D on ball. Being forced to use the bolt on offense feels really bad. My main point is, like, imagine if you fireballed that turn where you failed the leap. The fireball just gives you a lot of tempo when you fireball a cage. That was buggy pathing. Okay. Okay, snakes all day. Does that GF like you out of range or something that I'm unaware of? Maybe out of range of the skink? Trip was really just unfortunate. But even if you didn't trip, I think there's still hits on ball. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Gets rid of this assist and this blitz. Yeah, I don't really think there's too much to change about this game, though. You made a whoopsies on leaving a 2D on ball. You re-rolled a pickup on turn 1 that I disagreed with. Because, like, that was the last action of your turn, really, except for maybe a dodge. And whether you pick the ball up or not, you weren't missing a lot of movement because of it. So I think just don't reroll on turn 1. Still have the ability to score on turn 2. And then I probably would have just used the fireball turn 1 or 2. You had two opportunities to get a lot of momentum in that first drive. Especially like if you got lucky. If you knock down the ball, you have a chance to pick it up and run away with it. If you just knock down the guarding pieces, you have an easier blitz and an easier pickup because the things around it are knocked down. But that's my fireball usage. A lot of people disagree with me. Overall, though, this is just a hard game. Like, this is a nuts piece. This is a good piece. And one of your best players got Kaz turn 1. But I think protect that piece a little bit better. Put the rookie catcher in harm's way instead. But it's also, you're going 11 players, AV7 versus 11 players, mainly AV9. You're just going to get out attritioned in most of the time. And the babes didn't really pay off. I don't know. Had a lot of bad timing for your snakes. Ball carrier stumble and that sort of thing. Okay, your leap fails again. And 0 rerolls versus 1. No wizard. Pretty sure Skink picks up the ball and it's game, right? Yeah, and then there's just not much left to be done. Hero play. Hero play. Oh, and it's intercepted. Well, that was like your chance to tie up the game. So like, I don't know. This one just seemed like some bad dice. I don't think there was too much you could have changed about that. Like, that was rough. That was rough. But let's look at our other game real quick. Nice short replay stream. And I'm trying to remember. This was Delph versus Health. I believe we're watching the Dark Elf point of view. This one's a more rookie coach. Will be a little bit more, not critical, but a little more intense on what we're looking at. Yep. So we're watching Smart Trigger versus Bopnot. And let's get a pause here, see what we're working with. We got 12 versus 11. We've got 3 leveled blitzers. Okay. 4th one's there. Got a naked guard. We got a leveled witch. Got a kick piece. And then the high elf's got a decent amount of development. In general, for the dark elves, you want to be attacking these AV7 catchers. Like, especially this one that's, like, on the line. They're fast. They're fragile. I think I'd really rather put a lineman with dodge there. brain, and get the frenzy. I like playing around the sideline when you got frenzy, but they also got frenzy, so you just got to be better at using it. Okay. Something to point out real quick. Usually when you're taking your LOS hits, you want to... Oh. Let me get these midgets out of the way. You want to take your hits diagonally, so you get another chance to hit. And most of the time, you don't want to be following up, because that just exposes one piece over the others. Because now, even if you knock these down, right? So those are knocked down. It's pretty easy to get an assist and then a hit with like no retaliation. If you follow all of them, it's great though. But that's like relying on the knockdowns. But depending on your situation, it doesn't really matter. In this case, it doesn't really matter. The high O's don't really have kill skills. Exposing a blitzer, quote unquote, is not going to do you too much harm. I will say you got to be careful of basing. Every time you base, you give up a hit to your opponent. So this right here, these are 2 extra hits that the high elves are going to get that they shouldn't. And general philosophy of mine is you avoid basing unless you have a specific reason for it. Like here, you're getting a surf. Not even a surf, you're just getting a hit. Okay? So now, you're giving up a hit on your witch unless you dodge away. Okay? But you also... You were going to frenzy trap yourself. You were going to go 2 into 1 right here. Because it's this assist. You could have just as easily brought this lineman right here. Bum bum. No. I don't know. I think rather than go for a frenzy hit, you're better off just taking a regular hit with the blitzer. Like, this kick piece could have been fun to hit. It's got new defensive skills. And here we get a surf. Yep. So you gotta be careful with the frenzy piece. And I'm not sure how new Smart Trigger is. If you don't know, you can press Control to display the skills above players' heads. So you can cycle through their names, all of their skills, or just their level up added skills. Not trying to be condescending, it's just that's a thing. Depending on how many games you've played, that could be new information for you. Okay. So far, we're getting a little crisscross pattern here. Are we just going into a standard cage? Okay, so this is fine. Like, this is okay. This is a cage. This is protected. But it is my general philosophy that if you can avoid having to cage, you're in a good spot. So instead, I like to set up the widescreen. So you have this player here, blitzing with this one, so we're not counting him. You got that 2 widescreen. Love that. Love that. Very good. So let's just continue this. Put this player right here. Have another 2 widescreen. And then bring this player right here. Have another 2 widescreen. And instead, just hold your ball somewhere else. Hold your ball like right here. Hit this player. Like, not even right there. Right there. Bring your witch elf right here. And you got defense. They can't really wrap around the side fast enough. and the ball's still safe, but you have more players able to participate in the defense. Because right now, this player right here in the back corner, he's not doing anything. Your opponent isn't behind you. They're not trying to get behind you at the moment. And this just would control more space than a cage. Because with a cage, your opponent can really start to slow you down right here. Like, they can come down the sideline. They can get in front of you. They can try to start aggressing on this side, but you've got screens over here, so that helps a lot. But if you just move this player right here, most of that aggression is cut off. They will surf you, but instead of doing that, you do it slightly differently. Go here. Go here. That protects both of them from being surfed. And it cuts off the sideline. And your ball can stand a little more open and have more options. That sort of thing. TLDR. Cages, good to avoid when you can. Sometimes necessary. Again, you're giving up another hit. You're giving up a hit on a AV7. Really not a fan of that. Okay. Hit on the blodger. And then I'm assuming this is the hit. Nothing quite. Bob Nuts just spread out. Not going in yet. Basing your piece again. Also, you want to not base your pieces until you're going for the hit. Because right here, you're going for another hit with a GFI. If this fails, you've just given up hits for no reason. Whereas you could have waited, and if this failed, you didn't put any more pieces in danger until it was time to take the hit. That's just a simple turn ordering thing. And now you're really squeezing yourself up against the sideline and separating your team. So right now, what I highly expect the High Elves to do is they're going to take some hits over here, but then they're going to be cutting you off right down the middle and either hyper-focusing on these three positionals or just pushing you in the sideline with frenzy and blitzes and that sort of thing. So I find it very helpful to try to think of the game as how much space does each team control. And right now, you control like this space, and this space, and everything here is currently neutral ground. But the High Elves currently control this space, and they can come in and separate you here. So just something to look out for. Even just having, like, a piece in the center, getting, like, this lineman that you moved right here, he was protecting the center for you. Bring him back here. Bring you right here. And you still claim all of that space. Because even if they blitz to try and claim the space, they only get one blitz. And they're using that blitz not to squeeze you in further. But right here, I expect a chain push surf, or something like that. Just a regular old surf. Okay. Yep, the space is already claimed. This stun is actually pretty good. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Not able to get a surf with your witch elf. Not able to get safe even if you break through here. Don't follow if you're going to try and force through here. But at the same time, if you force through there, you're in real danger. And you go for GFIs really willy-nilly. Especially, like, your ball is exposed here, and you just are taking GFIs constantly. Would highly recommend being much more careful with that. GFIs eat through rerolls. If the ball was safe, it's a little more understandable to go for some GFIs if there's a big advantage. But you were just taking a block hit on a double GFI if the frenzy went through. That's really not where you want to be. Here you're getting crammed into the side. Thing you could have done to help prevent this. So you've protected the ball, that's good. But you can also claim more space while doing it. So right now, this is your space. And simple way to change that, move a couple players. Move this player right here. You cut off these dodges, make them harder. They don't have anywhere to go. This piece is still marked, has a hard dodge. And it doesn't have to be here, it could be here. So one of these two spots. Then move this out and up. And you claim more space. So if you start like making that diagonal. So instead that would look somewhat like this. You would claim this space. And in order to get around this elf wouldn't be able to just go bup, 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 bup. They'd have to go up and around, which they don't have the movement to do, to get in front of you. But now, you see, the High Elves are going to claim all this space right around you, really try to force you in. They're going to strengthen up the center. Yep. So they got control of the center, so if you look... If you look at the space they control, they are trying to force you to have to come back and around, and then you're undefended. Like, you see, they've got this... They've got a small example of what I was talking about, where they're forcing you to go around this little edge, but instead it's like horizontal rather than vertical. And this is to try and force your linemen and your witch elf and your blitzer here. They'd have to go around this to try to get up here. And then also, you're not even away from the enemy team. They're still going to catch you. And right there, I think I would have pushed the witch there, but that's like a minor point. Also, you have dodge on a lot of these pieces, and instead of just standing up and being based, just take the 1 in 36 with dodge. And here you're probably safe to stall for a turn or two. So just come park your blitzer right here. Claim your space. And you should go like right here, right here. Yeah, okay. Actually, if you being based, you might actually still be in trouble. Because this can actually push some stuff out of the way. Making you throw some armor rolls. Blodge is nice. Surfing the Witch is also good. If I were Bopnot, I think I'd focus more on this clump. I think there were some pushes to be made. Maybe get a surf, maybe open up the ball and force the score. Because Bopnot also has a lot of dodge. Especially, like, could have came and surfed this and one die maybe? Or brought the assist up. Surf. Dodge off, mark again. Because I don't think this forces the score. I do like what I'm seeing here. This is a surf. An attempt to force the score. Okay, that also works. It should be the score forced. It's hard to say. I don't think we can quite wrangle another turn out of this. But we should at least be able to get a surf. Or two. There's another one of those sneaky little GFIs, and now you're just gonna score. Yep. Okay. Skip past some setup. You're trying to prevent fast scores. I would recommend chevrons. Chevrons for the uninitiated. Pretty standard anti-fast score method. Get you some diagonals. And your 3 in the front. And this would be done proper spacing. I'll do that. I'll do it proper real quick. Boom. Boom. 2 wide gap. 1, no gap on the sideline. 2 wide gap. Oop, missed through that one. Boom, done. Add your chevrons. Skip some setup. Got the perfect D. Okay. This is a 2-turn score. And a surf. Gotta be careful with giving up the surfs on against the frenzy. Happens a lot to newer players. You just kind of forget that the frenzy is a thing. Likewise, if you see somebody within 2 tiles of the sideline and you got a Witch Elf, do it to them. Okay. Trying to force our way through. Got several scoring threats. That might be enough to score. I approved not going out to the blodge and instead trying to get rid of the scoring threat. Okay. Good. That's one scoring threat dealt with. Still in scoring range though. So that's at the 7. Getting knocked down removes 3 movement. Plus 2 GFI, so this is still in scoring range. So if you push it here, it's out of scoring range, but right there, it's still in scoring range. And it looks like this might be the one we're still scoring on. Yep. Yep, so you could have just prevented that by pushing back away from the end zone. And then, with that even said, this scoring threat's also not that trapped. So, what you've done here is you got a plus cage, which is really easy to free out of. So all you got to do is you hit one side, and it's knocked free. Because right here, you get a hit, push, knockdown doesn't matter. There's all 3 of these spaces are blocked. So you take the hit, you push here, 1, 2 plus, and you're out of there. Boom. How you want to mark this to prevent just an easy chain push, or an easy 4 plus, 2 plus, that's even not that bad. Instead of being a plus, be an X. Give them a nice little cage, just as if you would your own player. And then now these are all 4 plus dodges. So that's 4 plus, 2 plus still, but there's no easy chain push. Because now, in order to get a chain push, you gotta dodge a player in here, and then put one right here to get that chain. It's a pro tip right there. X's are better than pluses, even for the enemy. Ooh, and you move your players back to prevent the frenzy. Good. You learned. Slight alteration, I love it. Skip some setup. There is a babe for smart trigger. Little SPP farming. Never hurt anybody. In the rain. Okay. Here's another example if you want to hit the AV7. Because remember, armor value is exponentially easier to break the lower it is. Like 7 is far easier to break than 8, which is far easier to break than 9. Which is far easier to break than 10. Because of how 2d6 works. Good, jump up. It's not exactly exponential after AV7. It's parabolic. Yeah, like, as you go towards 7, it gets greater increases. And then, like, you know, you could say something about the percent chance increase, and yeah, math sucks. Probability math is the worst math. I'd rather do calculus, like, ugh. Probability sucks. Nobody likes it. That's why everybody estimates probability rather than finding actual probability. It's literally the reason people do the calculations for failure rather than the calculations for success. Because figuring out there's a 1 in 9 failure is far easier than figuring out that's an 8 in 9 for success. And Bopnot's just gonna take it slow. And if you see Bopnot in comparison to your own offense, spaced out a lot more, not in a cage, controlling a lot of space here. Like, it's very hard to get around, and even if you get around, the ball can just slip out the other side. But I always appreciate your input, Glava. I hope you know that whenever I respond aggressively, it's all in jest. All in jest. Except when you call Underworld stunty. I take offense to that. No. Amazons are stunty is the hot take, though. I know you said that one, I don't know if you said that one humorously or if you were being picked on for, like, your match result. I can't remember. I just know it makes me giggle. If you squint hard enough. They do all have dodge. And there's no AV4 on the team. Not AV4, Strength 4. If Stunties had 4 strength access, you could argue they would be Amazons. I never called them stunty. I've been bullying people all season in Dub Skulls. Now, Glava, on the other hand. Glava's not had as good of a time this season with their Zons. Not been behaving as well as mine. This is mostly fine. Getting a little bit of markage. Trying to force the cage to do something weird. Oh wait, you're 3rd in your league? What? I didn't realize that. I thought it was a... Huh. 1 in 9 happens 8 in 9 times? So, you've had what, 4 blitzers die? Or am I exaggerating? Two plus per. Okay. Still, that's a lot of carnage for what's supposed to be like your most well-defended player. Just naturally, they're supposed to be blodge. Okay, high elves are just making space, buying time. They don't want to score until turn 16 to give you no chance of counter scoring. Oh, I've already watched the games. I've already watched the games. There were some games this week. Because my idea is I don't want to watch all the games on stream. If somebody wants to watch all the games, they can do that themselves. My goal is to summarize most of them and give a little bit of a review of what the game results imply for that team's season and for the rest of the division. Now, I might show like little snippets here and there of interesting turns, but that'd be about all I would want to do. Maybe look at one game, like breeze through it. Dark Elves are in a bit of a pickle. It's hard to crack this cage. And these catchers are able to like break free, catch the ball and score in 2 turns. Exactly, exactly. If you want your game watched and like talked about, that's what this is for. Which, no knocking on any recapper that likes to do it that way, like they can do that. But anybody can just watch all the games. Like they're free. They're out there. They're open. But I also want to be able to not just look at the statistics and say, oh yeah, this was bad, this was good from the statistics. So I've watched all of them on Diced or Not. So each one took me like 20 minutes to look through and get some notes down and consider the implications of. But that's still like, for 7 games, that was like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. Yep, ball carrier block. A little ballsy, but again, 1 in 36. Not too scary. And the High Elves are doing a really annoying thing of getting their scoring threats out. And no tackle on the team. Actually, strip ball. Would love to see a strip ball hit. Because you 1-die the strip ball, you 2-die the strip ball. Yeah, I like this. That's not your fault. Not your fault. That was a good hit. That was a very good hit. I liked that hit. And you're dealing with the scoring threats. Like, most often, 2D on the ball gets at least a push and the ball is free. So that was a good hit. Because you definitely take the 1-die with strip ball. You probably take red dice with strip ball. Honestly, more times than not. And you're doing good of trying to deal with the scoring threats without tackle. Like, this second half was really good, actually. First half looked like you were uncertain. It looks like you're uncertain on offense, which is the most common problem in all of Blood Bowl. And it's not a you problem. It's just that on defense, you get to respond to what your opponent does. And on offense, you have to be the proactive player. You have to decide what's going to happen and determine the flow of the game. And your opponent gets to decide if they use a wizard, if they do this, if they do that, if they go aggressive, or if they just wait to see if you try to force through them. We are watching from Delph perspective. These are Dark Elves. They have a Witch Elf. Yeah. So these are the High Elves. They're trying to come to us. Also, I still remember there was one game I reviewed for college or minor. It might have been Strangefeller. I think it was Strange. He had this logo or something similar in Pro Elves, and at one point just was like, man, I feel really bad. I completely missed that I had a 2D on ball with a player right there. And there was just a Pro Elf Blitzer in the middle of the emblem that I didn't see because they blended in with the emblem. And I was like, you should not feel bad about that. I could not see that player either. Yes, not giving a space for a 3x3 cage is nice and desirable. It's actually pretty hard against high movement teams, though. That's actually really good advice if you're against like Chaos, especially, or Dwarves. If you go and you put player here, it's actually, and like let's say the Chaos is like right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, they can get behind here, but they're not really going to be able to get a cage. And if they do get a cage, they're going to have to take a dodge and a GFI or 2 GFIs. So this is actually really good advice. Try and take up the space of a cage. Because even if they get a cage, so let's say, again, you got this, and they get a cage behind you, but the cage ends up being something like this. Like, this is a base cage, and this corner is on the sideline. So, you can likely bring in an assist, get a hit, and either they get powed or they just get pushed. But then, if it's a POW, you know, they're gone. So now your player moves up. Boom. You got an assist on the ball, and you can either surf this or hit the ball, depending on what your other situation is. Because if you can bring players, boom, boom, block the rest. Like, take up that space, force them to base their cage in the only space they can claim, and you got potential hits on ball. Or at the very least, you force GFIs, dodges, that sort of thing. Forcing dice rolls is very good. Taking up space forces dice. Not basing means that they can't just punch you to deal with you. They get to use their blitz once a turn. And actually, it's not negatively impact you too much. And most of this half, you've been basing with good purpose. Like, you've been basing this catcher and this catcher to prevent them from being handed the ball and scoring. That's great. Love it. But in general, whenever you mark someone, you should have a specific goal with that mark. Even if it's as simple as, I don't want this lizardman to be able to walk for free. I want them to have to use the blitz. I want them to have to take a 5+ dodge. Something like that. Yep. Very good. Glava's got it. As we always say, Glove is very good at the theory of Blood Bowl. Maybe one day they can put it into practice. Ugh. Just, I'm such a jerk. I just, like, give people the compliment and then just, like, take it away. It's not even true. Glove, you play fine. It's just, I enjoy the sarcasm and the, like, getting that last sentence in. Also, Glava, I absolutely love your little theory articles you do. So good. Well, yeah, but like you're having fun when you do it. Like you know, like if you watch the game back, you'd be like, yeah, this was wrong. Don't do this. But your little articles you put out, I've loved like every single one of them. Because, like, you've just, like, put into words, like, concepts that, like, the more experienced coaches know intuitively. Like, I think your best one you did was the one about activations. And, like, if you base a downed ogre, it's like, takes an activation to... No, it's like, if it takes one activation to get the assist to die a big guy, that's not a very effective big guy placement. But if it takes 2 or 3 activations, that big guy did a lot, even if he gets knocked down. Fantastic. I love it. What is the title of them? What are they called again? And anybody that's listening that wants to take a peek at those, go into the rookie Discord and like search weekly recaps posted by Glava. Abstract thoughts, that's what they are. Yeah. They are very good. Like, I think that several of them are just as good as How to Break a Cage. That's a very good article that helped a lot when I was first learning the game. Very good article to recommend to new players. Yada, yada, yada. And at this point, there's not much for you to do. Ooh, actually, you have two-turn attempt. Oh, and here's a good example of always set up as if you're going to get a riot. Because you never know. You could have tied right here. If you were set up for it, you can still tie. You just gotta play for it. So get some stuff in scoring range. Go after that ball and go for your tie. And here, whenever you get a riot like this, you take up all this space. You take your non-GFIs. Well, not like that. But like with Chaos, I set up as if I'm going to get a riot. And Chaos can get their 2-turn cheeky steals like this. This is how I get to postseason. You come. You get into scoring range. You separate 2 tiles so that they can't mark multiple of you with one person. You just mirror them. And like you will get a score. Here and there. Yep. Always get a scoring threat. A bad scoring threat is infinitely better than no scoring at all. Yep. Okay, good. Now go. What's your scoring threat? Okay, good. 1 GFI range. Now put him here. No, put him 1 to the left. Because right now, this can come here. This can come here. No, don't foul! Don't! No. That doesn't help you. Now, go get in scoring range. Bring you in scoring range. Because they can't stop all your scoring threats. And the further you space them out, but like, if you space them out, but put them still in range of one another. Blitzer didn't need to be next to the ball. Nope. I think not taking the GFIs is good, because GFIs mean you could fail. No, there is no one else back here that was in range. The main thing you could argue is that this player that fouled should have been up here for like a handoff or pass. And this is your pathway right here. This is your path. This is the scoring line. So what I would be doing is this would come here. And this would be your assist. And you might just blitz through with this one. Just boom. Follow through. But first you gotta get... Then this would come here. And then you gotta get the ball to this guy. Blitz. Follow. Don't follow. Doesn't matter. Because that's 1, 2. Push off. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. GFI? That's likely what I would be doing. That right there. You could also use... Is there another blitzer up here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Nah, no. No. Just do this. So get the ball to this blitzer, and then go for the tie. So how do we get the ball to the blitzer? Ignore everything else. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8, 9. You gotta give it to him? Probably. So Witch Elf needs to bonk you out of the way. Pass it to him. Hand off here. Go for the score. See if you get it. Sometimes you're lucky. You could also give it to the Witch. Giving it to the Witch is fine too. That looks fine. That's maybe fine. No, that's not as good as the other way. Yeah, if you had somebody like a little closer to passing range, it would be easier. Three plus catch. It was close though. It was close though. You had mostly the right idea. If you were a little bit more, what's the word? If you had a little more forethought about where your players were to accomplish your goals, that was going to be a score. If you had saved a reroll from something that maybe didn't need it, also could have done it. Saving a reroll for the end. And primarily, if you just had a person ready to pick up the ball in case of a riot. I think that was the main difference. But yeah, that was not a bad game at all. You were definitely doing much better in the second half there. And it's also good to note that Bob Knot's pretty good player. Also, pretty fun guy. But I think that does it for right now. That's a lot of blocks. That's a lot of blocks for an Elf-Off. This is silliness. This is... You based a lot, gave up 60 blocks, and only gave up 5 armor breaks. You got very lucky. And you also gave up a lot of surfs, which didn't give you KOs or CAS. So you got a little lucky on that front, too. So... main takeaway is try to base a little less, try to take up more space, and set up for those kickoff events when you need to get lucky. Alright, I think that about does it for today. And then in a few hours, I'll be doing the recap for Rel 3B. I think it's 3B, it's one of the 3s. But, yeah. Does anybody have anything else to add before I sign off? Is there anybody to raid? Andy Davo's playing? That's about it. On that I see? I'll always raid Andy. I'm not a Twitch viewer of Andy's, though. I watch, like... I watch the games as they come out on YouTube. Andy does not stream at times that I watch Twitch. Ooh, Taba's playing? We could go raid Taba. How far into Taba's game are we looking? It's been playing for about an hour, just starting the second half. Yeah, let's go watch Taba. Let's see. Alright. Well, thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for watching. Couple quick games. Pretty simple remarks on the first one. Not much to say. Second one was fun to look at, though. And, thanks for watching. Y'all have a good one.